Hello, welcome back everybody. Today I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about rubs, a little bit about what makes a good rub, what makes a not so great rub, and just some of the different rubs that I've been able to find that I like, that I use. Right here I have a bunch of rubs just kind of laid out in front of me that I really like. Some of them that I buy, some of them I kind of make on my own. First, I just kind of wanted to say just a few things about rubs in general. Just my own thoughts from my own experiences. For me, the majority of the rubs that I use are just straight salt and pepper. And by salt and pepper, I mean coarse ground black pepper. You know, which if you go to like Costco or Sam's Club or whatever, you can find it in a, say, like cafe grind or restaurant grind. That's coarse ground black pepper and kosher salt. It's really important when you have rubs to use rubs that have larger grains in them, so it's more granulated. Those things create texture on your meat. They help to form a really solid and great bark. One, because of the texture they create, but two, because that texture attracts the smoke to the meat and allows the meat to really kind of absorb and gather even more smoke and build that layer on the outside of the meat, which really helps to create the bark that all of us are looking for with our meats. For me, in my experience, I found, especially with like longer cooks, you know, like a brisket, especially a brisket, pulled pork, even a lot of times ribs, if it's going to be in there for hours and hours and hours, salt and pepper usually my go-to, some kind of mixture or combination of it, whether it's, you know, half and half salt and pepper, or maybe a little bit more pepper, a little bit more salt, what have you. It's really important to recognize that when your meat is in a cook chamber for hours and hours and hours, you know, 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes even, you know, just 6 hours, where it's going to be in smoke for a long time, any additional thing you add to that meat probably is going to be void or null by the smoke that it's sitting in. And you know, the smoke that you're producing and the heat and the consistency of the temperature you're cooking the meat at is usually going to matter more than adding, you know, a tablespoon or a teaspoon of onion powder or garlic or whatever. Those things aren't really going to matter, and you're not even really going to taste them. So for me, I've found, you know, just salt and pepper, way to go for a lot of your longer cooks, a lot of your bigger, more denser meats. But I digress. With that being said, you can still use rubs if you like them, if you feel like that they're really the way to go. You can get a variety of different flavors. Nothing wrong with that. You can definitely, especially for the shorter cooks too. You know, the shorter cooks, go for it. Rubs can really help to enhance your meat. They can really help to make it have more flavor, give it texture, help it with a bark, even on a short cook. You can really make a big difference and a big impact on it. So I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the ones that I've found. You know, for me, I like to find people that make rubs locally. Then you get a lot of those local flavors, get a lot of that local variety. I found that when you find things from more of like a local vendor as opposed to like a big brand or a big box store brand, rubs like these they don't have filler in them. It's just seasoning. It's just the mix that you want. When you get them without filling, even though, you know, a lot of times these rubs are going to cost more, but there's no filling in them, so you actually you have more seasoning, more rub in the actual container that you can use. It also makes it so that it takes less on your meat, so it lasts a lot longer. You know, a little bottle like this, from somebody who doesn't put additives and fillers in theirs, typically this, you know, will last longer than a big bottle of something like this, where you bought it and it's mass produced and it comes just full of fillers. So, you know, one of my favorite brands is this one over here. This is Big Daddy Hills that makes these brands. Big Daddy Hills BBQ is the name of him. It's a veteran-owned company. He makes very basic, very well granulated rubs. He also makes sauces as well. This one right here is called the Texas Brisket Beef Rub. It's just Texas Brisket Rub. I don't use this on brisket, but I found that this one is fantastic if you like to make your own hamburger patties. Add a bunch of this into the meat and mix it in there. Makes it so good. Gives it a little bit of a kick, for sure, but it just really goes well with burgers and with beef. And just to give you an idea, with this one, it's got just a handful of ingredients. It's got Himalayan salt, black pepper, paprika, chilies, garlic, onion, spices, oregano, and organic cane sugar. So something to really pay attention to is the ingredient label. Read it. Is it basic ingredients? Do you actually know what the ingredients are? Or is it a bunch of stuff made in a factory somewhere, It's really important to understand what's coming in this bottle. Don't just read the label, but read what's actually in it. So again, this one, awesome for burgers. If you wanted to use it on a brisket, you probably could, and I'm sure it'd probably be just fine. But as I mentioned before, probably not going to be a huge impact. However, if it's hard to see in here, but it's very granulated, so it will create a good texture for it. Another one of my favorite ones is from this same company. It's called Mother Cluckin' Wink Rub. This one is awesome for ribs, of course, pork ribs. It's great for if you like doing. You could use it on pork belly if you wanted to, but it's great for pork loin if you like making pork chops out of that stuff. Really great for chicken as well. Love this thing on chicken. One of my favorite ones. Again, lots of granulars in it. It's not a powder. It's granulated. Does really well. Again, just a handful of ingredients on this one. Super great. Super flavorful with that one. Another one here is the citrus grill that they make. Handful of ingredients. This one is great for grilling, of course. Great with. This one can go really well with fish. If you like fish, it can go really well with chicken. Good for chicken also. You could use it on pork too. But just a really good one to check out, to try. This one is a little bit more powdery, so I don't know that I would count on it to make much of a bark, but it will definitely add some flavor to it for you. One of my favorites is this garlic lovers rub. Recently I did a beef tenderloin. With beef tenderloin, it's not going to sit in there very long. What I did with the beef tenderloin is I dry brined it with salt for a day with kosher salt, and then I put this on the outside of it and threw it in the smoker, just to give it that layered flavor where you have that salty flavor in the inside of the meat, but then the outside, the crust, the bark was garlic flavored. Really good, really great. And again, this one, just a handful of ingredients. It's granulated, works really well, gets you that good garlic flavor if you like that. For beef, I guess if you like garlic on your chicken, you can go that route. But two more that I really like, that I've had these for a long time, is their apple barbecue rub and their Memphis Magic rub. Of course, Memphis Magic is if you like those Memphis flavors, Memphis style ribs, throw this on them. But this one also actually pairs really well with fish. Does really good on fish, really good on chicken, really good on those things. You could probably put it on some steaks if you wanted to. It'd be good on steaks. This one, with it being an apple rub, first thing everybody always goes to, of course, is going to be pork. When you think of apple, you think of pork, but this one can go really well on chicken also. Never use it on ribs really, but really great on pork, with like pork chops, pork loin, pork belly would be really great with also. Just a really good all-around one. Again, very few ingredients in these. All of these are MSG free, gluten free, just all natural ingredients in these. This one right here is ones that I've kind of found recently. This is, and these guys, these Big Daddy Hills, are all local to me. But this one, Heath's Blends, they're local to me as well. And I've used these are some good rubs that I haven't used them for quite as long, but I've been experimenting with them and really like them. This one is called his Chicken Scratch, kind of in the name. Really great for poultry, really great for seafood. You can even mix it in with some soups if you wanted to. Again, just like with these ones, very few ingredients in this, no fillers, no MSGs, just very, very simple, very basic. This one is not, I've kind of noticed with the Heath Blends ones that they're not super granulated. They are a little bit smaller grains. So not a super great bark, but can still create a lot of great flavor. One thing to notice too with the Heath Blend ones, he uses a Himalayan pink salt in all of his. Sodium isn't really something I'm overly concerned about, but if you're someone who is concerned about sodium and needs lower sodium, Himalayan pink salt is a great substitute for that, as it does have less sodium. I got this one right here. It's just this peppery lemon. Really great one to mix. Peppery lemon is a good one to mix if you like Cajun flavors, if you like flavors that are if you like the spicy flavors, but you don't necessarily want all of the heat that comes with it, mixing with something like this can really help to reduce that heat or nullify the heat. Just because lemon and lime, when you mix those with those Cajun flavors, it's going to really nullify a lot of the heat that's in there, but you still get the flavor from it. Another one that's really great is he calls it Mark's Masterpiece. And then he also has this one here called Southwest Sizzler. These two are both just really good, all around seasonings. This one's more of a mild seasoning. This one is more of a spicy seasoning if you like the spicy. Just a lot of flavor in this one. Something that I actually did recently, and hopefully I'll have a video up for it soon, but I actually did a turkey, so turkey breasts, and I actually combined all four of these that I used. One to make a mixture that I injected the turkey breast with, but then I also used these just for one of the turkey breasts. I used these on the outside as a rub as well, and then the other turkey breasts I just used salt and pepper just to kind of compare and contrast, but also give you those two different types of flavors, layered flavor. I like the injecting it with these, but then having this on the outside, the salt and pepper, gives it that good layered flavor. Here's the, I combined them all and mixed them in a shaker. It turned out really well. And that's one thing too I wanted to touch on with any of these. If you really want to get the flavor into the meat, and if it's not going to be in there for very long, injecting it can be a good way to go. I found it's really helpful too on pellet smokers that don't necessarily create that same kind of bark or that same kind of flavor that like a stick burning or a wood burning offset smoker or what have you would make. You don't need to buy like an injection powder. You can just use your rubs. Just mix them with water, mix them with my favorite thing, which is cider vinegar, and then just inject them into the meat with that, and get your flavors into there. And that really helps to create that layered flavoring where, let's say I wanted to make some pork loin. I inject it with the Mother Cluck and Oink rub, and then on the outside, let's say I put the Memphis Magic rub on the outside. So you get that layered flavor, those layered seasonings, those different flavors that you want to try to project and to use. Another thing too is you can of course combine these, but one thing I recommend, is buy some shakers. Get them with different hole sizes for the different granulated sizes. Mix them together. Don't ever like if you're gonna when I use these four, right? Don't just sit there and dump each one on the meat one at a time. One, you're going to way over season your meat. You're going to put way too much rub on, but it's just not going to be very consistent. It's better get a shaker, put equal amounts or whatever, however you want, whatever kind of recipe you want to make, to combine them in a shaker together, mix it up in the shaker, and then use the shaker to season your meat with. You get a lot better result, a lot more consistent rub on your meat. You're not going to over season it, but you can also make sure you're not going to under season it still also. Same thing with salt and pepper. These are shakers that I buy, but don't ever just, salt it and then pepper it afterwards. Combine them together, put in the ratio that you want, and then shake it out over the meat. You just get a lot more consistent and even flavoring across the meat. Again, that's not going to over season it, which is just as important, especially with some of the meats that are more sensitive to rubs, where you don't want to over season them for sure. Just take it easy. You can also make your own rubs. I kind of mentioned, the grain size is really important. So for instance, like if I wanted to make my own, garlic flavored rub, typically I'll always use salt and pepper for my base. And you'll find even on all of these rubs, all of them have salt and pepper in them, usually kosher salt, usually coarse ground black pepper, whether it be the restaurant grind or just coarse ground, or say like mesh 16 or 16 mesh, or it'll say cafe grind. And just look for any of those things. That's all coarse ground black pepper. But anyways, I'll mix it together. I'll mix my salt together, just do like half and half kosher salt, half black pepper, and then I'll get some granulated garlic, granulated garlic, and mix it in here with it. Again, getting granulated, not garlic powder, you can get garlic salt as long as it's bigger, but you already have salt in here, so just get the granulated garlic, or you can get onion. Don't get onion powder. Get the granulated onion that you can find. You can find all these things at a place like Sam's Club. Get those granulated ones. You get those bigger grains. Creates that better texture on your meat, and it really helps to again produce that bark that we're all trying to get with our barbecue. But it also helps to create the texture on the meat that makes barbecue what it is as well. So again, whatever way you go. One thing to remember with rubs is there's no right or wrong. You can't really get the wrong flavor. You just kind of have to learn your palate, learn the flavors that you like, and really kind of hone in on those. It's really easy to buy hundreds of rubs and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on rubs, trying all these different things. If you like doing that, if you like going out and just trying just to see how it turns out, go ahead and do that. But for most people, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, if you want to keep things simple, if you want to keep things manageable, just figure out what your palate is, figure out the flavors that you like, and hone in on that and get rubs that complement that, or make rubs yourself that complement that, and just stick with that, and then you can kind of, over time, you can expand upon that and experiment and do other things as well. But I find that it's really, really helpful just to start with a few rubs, 1 or 2 rubs at first, really learn those, really hone in on those, really figure out how to make those work. And then you just kind of add on top of that. So you're layering on top of what you already have, or and just really use that knowledge to increase your abilities and increase your love for and your passion for what you're doing. Anyways, I'll post links in the comments for Big Daddy Hills and the Heath Blend, so you guys can check out their websites and see all the different flavors and different combinations that they offer. I know Big Daddy Hills does sauces also, and their barbecue sauces are awesome. They're made with all natural ingredients, just like their rubs, and they're just really flavorful and not something you can replicate anywhere else. But until next time, watch for my video coming out soon of those turkey breasts that I've that I recorded recently, trying to get those ready, get those on the platform soon, and then I'll continue to make more videos of different things. If anybody ever has any suggestions or things you want to see, or meats you want to learn how to make, or see how I do them, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm happy to take suggestions and happy to make whatever you guys are interested in.